Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Steven Chung on the line, and he's a solo practitioner tax attorney over in Cerritos, California, and he is also a weekly columnist over at AboveTheLaw.com. Steven, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing as a tax attorney and how you're helping your clients. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how'd you get started in your career and in business?
Well, I went to Whittier Law School over in Orange County. Actually just closed a couple of years ago. And over there, I studied a variety of subjects. And then I really didn't find a subject that kind of fit in with me. And then after I graduated, I decided to apply to a master's in tax program over at Chapman University right next door. And then the strange thing was I was living in LA at the time. And I think about 6 weeks into the semester, I learned that Loyola Law School also had a program that was a lot closer to home. So after one semester, I transferred over there, and turned out I did really well over there grade-wise, so I think I found my calling in tax. So after I graduated, I worked for a few firms here and there, and then in 2009, I started my own practice where I help people resolve tax disputes. I also do some basic tax planning, and also, in addition, I also help people with large student loans manage their student loan payments. And since then, thanks to good fortune, a lot of hard work, and lots of sleepless nights, I have a pretty comfortable practice. I'm happy with it.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear the story of an entrepreneur kind of building. After obviously your skill set, you're very you obviously had to go to school, get your credentials, all these things. But then working for some of the bigger firms, then going out on your own and pulling it off and creating a comfortable practice that you're happy with. So that being said, there's some other entrepreneurs out there that are listening to this that are maybe a little bit further behind in their career. It doesn't have to be in law, but just as entrepreneurs. I mean, you're over 8 years in at your law office. That being said, we all learn from the ups, the downs, sideways, everything in between. If you could give some advice to that younger Steven that was just getting started, that our younger listeners can benefit from, what kind of things would you tell that younger Steven just getting started with his practice?
Okay, well, something I want to tell my younger self, and I was actually thinking about this the last couple of months, is get an assistant as soon as possible. A lot of people say that you should get an assistant only when you can afford one. That's not necessarily true, because as an entrepreneur, you need to spend a lot of time gathering customers or clients and things like that. You can't really do that and do the managerial duties at the same time. I mean, in the beginning, yes, you will be doing that, but once it gets to the point where you're pretty much good at what you do, you want to train someone to do it for you and then possibly automate everything so that you can focus more time on getting the clients and maybe having the free time for yourself. So it's a pretty good division of labor. And then I also counsel several small businesses, and what I would tell them is definitely to be aware of all the tax laws, save some money for taxes. I mean, you'll be surprised some people who think they didn't make any money, but after they send me their financials, and then the CPA prepare the tax returns, it's just they actually have to owe significant amounts of money. So, and unfortunately, taxes are a big expense, one of the biggest in a business. So you have to plan accordingly. And then finally, definitely treat all of your clients with care and respect, particularly if you don't have a lot. At least in my line of work, I don't have that many clients, so you want to treat everyone with special care, because they're going to be your best source of referrals, and also online reviews getting more important now. About. So yeah, I would. I think and finally, just don't focus on any gimmicks. I mean, I see a lot of people, a lot of consultants, they say you have to do some gimmicky things. I think that's more for later. Just stick with basically the fundamentals of starting your own business and maintaining one, which is not that hard. And also, it's not going to cost you $3,000. It's pretty much common sense. Okay, so that's what I'd say.
That's awesome. I love it. And I love that first one, too. You're like, get an assistant. That one hit home. I held off way too long for that. Once I did it, I'm like, now I'm up to my second one. And it's just so much. It's needed. And for anybody out there that doesn't think it is, you just get so much more accomplished. And without them and without their help, I couldn't do what I do. That's for sure. So I love, when you said that, it hit home. It just hit me right in the gut. I'm like, why wasn't I listening to you years ago? That one hit me right in the gut. Thank you, Steven. Let's switch it up a bit. You hinted towards it, and you told us a little bit. Let's go a little bit further. Tell us a little bit more about your practice and the type of clients you help, and the kind of areas that you like, the types of clients that you like working with.
Well, as I mentioned, I help people with tax issues. So basically, if they're under an IRS audit, or if they're owing a big tax bill and they don't know what to do. There are programs that the government has to settle your debt for less than you owe, although it is not easy to do. Think about it. If somebody's owing you $50,000 and you have and if they know that you have $50,000 in a bank account, they're going to want that. They're not going to want to settle. And in many ways, the IRS is like that. And I kind of say this because there's lots of advertisements on radio shows saying that they can settle your tax debts for pennies on the dollar. That's not necessarily true, so be wary of those companies. But anyway, I also do some basic tax planning for people who want to minimize their taxes, or at least make sure they don't get hit with a surprise tax bill this coming April. And then finally, something that also hits close to home. A lot of people these days are graduating with large student loan debts. Right now in the United States, the total student loan debt's about $1.6 trillion, and it's growing. And it doesn't seem like the government's doing anything to try to contain that. So I advise some of these people that there are income-based repayment programs out there, and also try to help them do what they can to manage their student loan debts and also tax debts at the same time. So those are usually my typical type of clients.
And you mentioned you work out of Cerritos, California, correct?
Yes.
Got it. So if somebody is listening to this and they do want more information about working with you or having a conversation, because maybe they have some issues that they want resolved, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Okay, well, the easiest way to reach out to me, they can go to my website, Steven Chung, StevenChung.biz, boy igloo zebra. Or they can look me up at abovethelaw.com, and then on the search bar you can put Steven Chung, and I write about tax issues, student loan issues, and if they have any questions, maybe one of my colleagues could have the answer that they're looking for. If it does not, then feel free to reach me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. My Twitter handle's at Steven Chung, fairly simple. Or they can give me a call at my office. My office phone number is 818-925-4699.
And let's go a little bit further actually into your abovethelaw.com, what you write over there. I think it's unique that you're a weekly columnist and that you're putting out and doing a lot of writing there. Let's talk a little bit more about what are some of the things that they can expect to get when they visit there to read your column.
I'm sorry, they cannot expect?
What they can expect to get when they read your column. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Well,
what kind of topics? Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, generally, they've been nice enough to give me free reign. So I write about a lot of things, but generally I try to focus on student loans, on taxes, and also I also write about managing a small firm, and at least with my experiences. So even if they don't own a law firm, I think the readers can relate in some way. They could talk about how to manage clients, how to control expenses, and basically how to avoid getting into trouble with the customers and the law and things like that. So I think those are the type of things I write about on a regular basis. But I think in the future, I think with tax season coming up, I'll be focusing more on tax issues the next couple of months.
Awesome. Well, Steven, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work that you're doing over at your law office. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Steven, thanks again for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so I'll cut the audio there. Man, this is a very relevant episode. I love it. It's great timing because obviously everybody's thinking about taxes right now. So I love it. I love the background. I love what you mentioned. I love that you brought up the radio and it doesn't quite work like that. They're not settling for pennies in the dollar if you have the money. That was a good one. I wanted to laugh, but I didn't. But it was like I held it in, and then you really did hit me in the gut with that assistant thing. I'm like I've interviewed I don't know a couple thousand people. And not one person said that as their first thing. And if I were to get advice and somebody were to ask me that question, I would answer it the exact way you did. Get an assistant before you can afford them. And when you can't afford them, you better get two.
Yeah,
oh,
awesome. I mean, the thing is, it's like this. It's just like, I get paid. A client usually pays me, like, let's just say somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000. Mm-hmm. And then you pay an assistant to do most of the work and you pay them like maybe $100. So you pretty much get.
It's common sense. I get it.
So, well, hey, I kind of didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to disclose that. But that's pretty much.
No, you can't say that part. No, I get it. I didn't laugh. Right. We keep it professional because we're recording. But that being said, quick side note. I will shoot the audio over to my team. They'll do all the editing and all that good stuff. And in my opinion, this will probably be ready by either later this week or early next week at the latest. So they're really fast on the turnaround. That being said, when it does go live, you'll get an email from my assistant. His name is Julius. Speaking of assistants, that's going to have like 8 to 10 links on it. It'll have your links for iTunes, Spotify, a full YouTube video, Facebook videos, LinkedIn videos, more videos and social media content than you probably ever thought you wanted or needed, Steven. It's on its way to your inbox. So just feel free to use as you like, but for your record either way, okay?
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, too. Bye-bye.